Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome to episode number 4 of the Great Pothos Race with Matt from THICCLY. I think this is the end of the third month. We've been doing this since I think mid-November, so we're coming along quite nice. And before I start talking about the plant and the progress, which it's been doing really good, there's something that caught my attention the other day while scrolling through Instagram. So as I'm scrolling through Instagram, I come upon THICCLY's stories, and I thought to myself, what in tarnation is going on here? There is no way that he's going to be stealing my IV bag idea. I was absolutely floored. At the start of the competition, he also tried to sabotage my plant when it was in water. I don't know how he did it, but he sent my dog down and started to drink the water so that there was no water left in the container. Absolutely madness. Then in the last video, he claims that I made him sick with biological warfare or something like that. That's just absolutely crazy. I don't know where he got that idea, but regardless, where does this stop? Where does the madness end? Wait a second. Where did my light go? Son of a gun. Now that brings us to the plant, and you can see there are now 4 leaves on this plant. In the last video, this one was just unfurling. These are the 3 original leaves. There should actually be 5 leaves, but this node right here, the leaf actually rotted off. It was around the time that I went on vacation. I turned off most of my grow lights just so it would slow the growth down a little bit. So I did kind of lose out on a week as well as 1 leaf. Now you may or may not have noticed that I did remove the heat mat. I had it on the heat mat basically right from the start of the competition, from when I took the cuttings and they were rooting in water. Now, since it's been on the plank, I haven't noticed any real substantial evidence saying that that has helped this plant grow. So I just removed it. These pothos plants, they're so resilient. They will grow in any type of conditions. So I don't need to keep babying the plant and, you know, keeping the soil nice and warm and all that sort of thing. The temperature is consistent down here. The humidity is consistent and the lighting is consistent. So I just removed the heat mat and yeah, there's no change. I didn't notice anything. I'll show all the roots and stuff here in a second, but I just want to talk about the IV bag. I do have it hanging at the back of the plank here. It's actually quite, is it going to fall over? No. It's actually quite unsteady, and the reason is because I have this smaller terracotta pot. It's got a narrow base, so I've actually bumped into this a couple times, and I'm surprised it hasn't actually like fallen over to the point where it's detached the plant. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. I did have to adjust the height of this bag, so I did in the last video make a hole lower in the plank just because the original one I had up here, and it was just taking way too long for the water to come down to the plank and onto the roots like that. Plus I did have to recently, see it's going to want to, oh this is really sketching me out, it's tipping over. I did have to lower it a little bit more because it was kinking the tubing at the back here. So I think that was kind of messing with the flow rate a little bit. So this is, if I'm being honest, quite tricky. So I did have to turn it right down just because it kind of got away on me this morning. You can see the whole plank is like wet, and that's not really what I want. I just want it to be, actually it's not bad. The soil, it's actually pretty damp, so I might actually shut that off. So it's been a little bit finicky, but I think I have to slow the rate like right down to pretty well like 5 mils an hour and just kind of see how it is. Now it also depends on if I have my oscillating fan on. It tends to dry out the front of the plank really fast, and then I have to increase the flow rate, and then yeah, it just compounds the issue of like wet soil. So it's pretty finicky. Overall, it's been doing okay. I just have to really keep an eye on the flow rate, making sure that it's not just absolutely soaking or drenching the soil. Another thing that I stopped doing was adding fertilizer to the bag, and I may change that again, like I might add it, but it kind of got away from me. I started a new job, and honestly, I really wasn't paying much attention to this plant recently. And when I checked on the bag to see if there was still fluid in it, this entire bag, and I wish I had footage of it, it was green. It was full of algae, and you can see there's some evidence of that still in the bag. There's a little bit down here, and you can see in the line. This was just, it was all green. It was gross. It was disgusting. I took it over to the bathroom, and I rinsed it out, cleaned it out, and yeah, there's just a little bit at the bottom. So the reason why that was developing algae is because when I rotate this around, I have a light source for, okay, this thing is wanting to fall over again. I might have to change pots here soon because this one is really kind of sketching me out. But I have a grow light at the back of this plank for my other plants right here, so it's definitely not ideal. It's been growing some gross stuff in this bag, so I stopped the fertilizer, and so far it's just, yeah, it's solved the issue, but I do want some nutrients to get to these roots. Now, I often say in some of my other plank videos that these aerial roots on the planks, they're strictly for anchoring, for support, for growth. You're going to get all your moisture and nutrients from the roots in the soil. So I just wanted to try a little experiment with fertilizer just to see if it had any effect on like the size of the aerial roots, or if it affected the just overall growth while growing out the plank. But I don't think it is, or it will have any effect, just because it does receive all its moisture and nutrients from its soil roots. Now, if you were growing it in, say, moss, that's a different story, like some of these philodendrons. When you have a plant growing in moss, it's basically an extension of your soil. You can water and fertilize, or your roots will get water and fertilizer from there, but it's different when it's on a plank. It's strictly for support. Now for my favorite thing, the roots. This is my favorite thing about growing pothos plants on planks, are these super chunky aerial roots, and this is exactly what you want to see right here. When you have a plant on a plank, you'll see these nice juicy white aerial roots. These are the ones that are going to attach to the plank very easy. If you have some older like brown roots and you just put a plant on the plank, it's probably not going to latch on very easy with those. They're kind of, I guess, crusted over. These are the ones that you want to see right here, those nice juicy white roots, and typically they're the newest ones coming out. If you knock this off, you're going to set the plant back. Right now it's feeling nice and secure. It's going to continue to climb up the plank, and it's going to size up the leaves with each one. So that's why you have to be very careful. Well, I shouldn't say very careful. They're on there pretty good, but you just don't want to knock it off so that it loses its support. Otherwise, you're probably going to get smaller leaves again. It's going to take a little bit of time for that plant to recover. I'm going to take these lower Velcro supports off here in a minute just so we can look at the roots, and it's not needed anymore. It's on there pretty secure. But I just want to show the, I guess, the thickness of the stem at the bottom of the pot, and as it grows up a plank or support system, it'll start to size up as well. So it's definitely getting a bit thicker, and it's also looking a little bit rougher. So it does kind of look almost, it's got these lines, and yeah, it's very, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's fairly smooth down here, but as it grows up, it starts to get quite textured, I guess. So yeah, this one is starting to size up quite nice, and I'll show you one over here as well. So this is another golden pothos. It's got a new leaf, which is absolutely beautiful. I'm actually transitioning this from a plank to a moss pole. Yeah, I'll do another video on this, but just, whoops, lost my pencil. As you can see, look how narrow or thin the stem is down here. Don't mind this. All these leaves are gone because I completely neglected it, and you can see these ones are looking really crusty as well. So down here, it's probably the thickness of the pencil, but as you go up here, you can see just how thick this has gotten, and even up here, like it's super thick. So yeah, I find that really neat, of how it just increases in size as it grows, and then of course you can get these larger leaves. Now that that Velcro piece is off, you can now see that this area right here has a nice large anchoring root. It comes off to the side, it's got a smaller one there, and as we continue to go up the vine, you can see again there's some nice anchoring roots that come off the nodes, but you can see behind the stem, in between the nodes, it's getting these little caterpillar feet, and that's telling me that it is really latching on there. It is feeling super safe, super secure, and yeah, that's exactly what you want to see. I think it's just so cool how this plant learns to not only just attach itself to the plank, but grow up and just adapt to its growing environment. I think it's just super cool. There are two other things that I want to touch on before I wrap this video up, and the first one is Matt's plank design with the grooves in the board. Now, I don't think he's even realized this, but he's kind of stumbled upon, I think, an ingenious fix that I've been having a little bit of a problem with. Now, as you can see with this one, the pothos is growing straight up, but now it's starting to veer off to the side. And I've had this problem with other pothos plants in the past. And I actually had one pothos wrapped completely around the plank, and yeah, it basically detached from the plank just because it had to wrap around the entire back, and I tried to secure it to the front. It didn't work out. The leaves, they got smaller, so they downsized, and it was just kind of a nightmare. Now I've been trying to think of a way to keep it on the plank in the center, and I even thought about putting like little, almost like edges. So I'll bring like a little, almost like a guide piece on each side and attach it. Now what I've noticed with Matt's design so far is that the roots are growing into these, like the grooves or the slits, and I have a feeling that that is going to keep the plant growing in a straight line. So I'm definitely going to have to keep an eye on that, and if it continues to grow straight for his plant, then I might have to steal that idea and just put some grooves on my planks. The last thing that I wanted to include in this video is these little markers just along the side of the plank. These are 1 foot increments. It's just gonna help me keep track of how much it's growing. So I do have a marking right here, and there's one up here. So this is from the top of the pot to the 1 foot mark, or 12 inches, and then it's 2 feet. So it's coming up on just reaching the 1 foot mark. So today is March 1st, and it's just approaching the 1 foot mark. So that's pretty well what to expect over like 3 months, basically right from cutting, rooting, adding it to soil and on the plank. That's kind of what to expect. Now, just because this is a race, you kind of expect it to go faster. But unfortunately, plants, they do take time to grow and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just a little marking system. It's like when you have kids, you butt them up against your wall and you measure them. That's what I'm doing with this, this pothos plant. So I do have a little measuring tape here. And I think another thing that we had talked about was measuring the leaf size over time. So down here, the initial leaves, they're about 3 inches. Up here, the second leaf, this one, again, around 3 inches. The one that was the smallest, about 2.5 inches. So now the newest leaf, 3 inches. So back up to the original size it should be, and I'm hoping that this next newest leaf will be a little bit larger than the 3 inches. So with each new leaf, it should continue to size up as long as it feels safe and supported, nice and secure on the plank. Each new leaf should size up, and yeah, hopefully we can get some big leaves by the end of this competition. So I think that's gonna be pretty much it for this video. That's pretty well all that I wanted to cover. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down in the comments section, and don't forget to go immediately over to Matt's channel, THICCLY. Go check out his video, and I'm curious to see how his little, if he did steal it, the little IV setup is. Otherwise, we'll do another update in about a month here, and hopefully we have some more cool results to show you guys. And thanks for following along in the Great Pothos series. I'm having a blast doing this. It's fun because I don't get to see Matt's video until he releases it as well. Sometimes we'll exchange little pictures of each other's plants, just the progress or troubleshooting, that sort of thing. But really, I have no idea what his next video is going to be. So that's kind of the exciting thing about this series, as well as I get to watch it the first time with you guys. So thanks for watching this video. Take care, everyone. Bye.